welcome to today's episode of Ashling's Holistic Health Show. Today I have a special guest, Erica Sheehan of Homespun Foods, and Erica has kindly joined us today to tell us all about her wonderful product that she has on offer in Ireland. Ireland, I think to this date, I know, I'm not sure if you're out into the other countries yet, but Erica, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Aisling. Really a pleasure to join you and to have an opportunity to talk about Homespun and the journey so far.
Yeah, wonderful. So can you tell us what led you to starting up your business with Homespun Foods?
So I suppose, Aisling, I know you're from Kerry, you're based out of Kerry, and my mum is from Kerry. And I suppose as a child, we spent a lot of time in Kerry as a family. And one of the things that my dad used to do down in Kerry was he used to grow all of his own fruit and veg. And we used to put out nets to catch fish. It was really idyllic. It almost sounds sort of quite old fashioned now, but that was the way we grew up. And my mum was a French teacher all her life, and she loved France and she loves food, and she cooked everything from scratch. And I suppose if I was to identify two sort of formative influences, they were my parents. They're interested in good, real food, and that was the way I was brought up. But I suppose, like, you know, a lot of the young people, you know, you're in your 20s and you're out and you're socializing and, you know, you're drinking and that's all happening. And I was no different. But I suppose in my late 20s, I really kind of moved towards a much more healthy lifestyle. I got quite into athletics, and I became a lot more aware of the link between what I eat and how I feel and how I look. And I suppose I became profoundly aware of the link between good food on the one hand and mood. And I'm a real believer that, you know, what we consume has a profound impact on our state of mind and our well-being in a really holistic way. And I suppose I'm a real convert to that way of thinking. And I suppose it was another phase to it as well. I spent time along with my now husband in the west coast of the States, in California, where healthy eating is just the norm. There's healthy eating is so easy there because there's cafes everywhere that have the most beautiful salads. Takeout food is the opposite of unhealthy. It's all beautiful food, absolutely delicious, but really nutritious and so forth. And we spent a bit of time in California, and that was a really, really big thing for me because I realized that I wanted to make a career out of this whole space. I knew I'd always harbored a desire to set up my own business. I suppose I thought, okay, well, you know, if I set up my own business, you know, how am I gonna make a living? You know, what's going to be the focal point of that? And over time, I began to realize, well, I have this interest in food. I have a love of all things to do with food and nutrition and well-being, and I have a background. I suppose I'd worked in PR, I'd worked in communications, I'd worked in journalism and marketing, and I thought, well, I have a business background, I suppose, that would lend itself to, you know, a startup. And I began to realize that, you know, I could do it. I could bring all of these strands together, things I was passionate about. And I guess the Homespun journey began in 2014 when I decided to trial my concepts at a local farmers market. Just to take you back a step, I've always been interested in plant-based nutrition. I consume a lot of quinoa because it's high in fiber, it's very high in protein. And I began to realize by looking at blogs and recipes that there was like a lot of recipes out there for quinoa-based cereals and snacks, but there weren't really many on the market. And that was kind of, you know, eureka moment. I said to myself, look, there could be something in this. And I went to a local farmer's market with kitchen samples of kind of a granola that I had made at home a few times. And I said, look, you know, do you think there's something in this? What do you think of the taste? This is a granola that's made from quinoa. And they were like, quinoa, that's really quirky. We've never seen it like that. We've never seen anything. You know, we've seen granolas that are oat-based and so forth. And I guess a lot of people have seen granolas that are really, really sugary and, you know, don't have a huge amount in terms of nutrition. But cutting a long story short, I started doing a little Saturday farmers market stall to see if people liked my quinoa granola, which I called quinoa crunch because it's very crunchy and light. cutting a long story short, people really liked it. And I'm quite I suppose, an instinctive person. I trust my instincts.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I think there's something in this. I think that, there's a market for this. People, like a light kind of version of a granola. They want something that's light, but they want the crunch. They want the enjoyment at the end of the day. We can't
Yeah.
all exist on kale juice.
No. Yeah.
And I don't think it has to be either kale juice at one end of the spectrum and then
Mm-hmm.
overdoing it with junk on the other. I think there's happy mediums, and I'm a real believer in continuing to enjoy your food, but packing in as much nutrition as you can.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do with Homespun. Our quinoa crunch products we see as a nutritious twist on granola. Quinoa is the main ingredient. It's not something that's there to the tune of 1%.
Yeah.
There's an integrity to the product. Quinoa is the main ingredient. We use popped quinoa, which is, I suppose it makes it lovely and light.
Yeah.
Mix it with a lot of seeds and nuts. Our products are I suppose they're gluten free. By the way, they're made in West Cork.
Mm-hmm.
They're Irish made products. We have 2 flavors. We've got pecan and cranberry and goji berry, coconut and cashew. We use coconut oil, which gives it a lovely scent. I'm personally a huge believer in, if you want to be healthy, things have to be sustainable. It's back to the example, we can't exist on kale juice. Things have to be good and provide the nutrition. You really have to be kind of ticking both boxes. What our consumers and I suppose our fans, the people who like our products, like to do, they would tend to eat a very, clean, nutritious diet. They wouldn't really touch sugary yogurts.
Mm-hmm.
Or sugary cereals. What they tend to do is a lot of them start their day with porridge, but they're looking for a crunchy, enjoyable, multi-seed quinoa topping. That's where we come in. And it's nice on natural yogurt. So I guess one of the roles we play is we enable people to sustain those healthy habits by having that enjoyable topping on top. So that's essentially it. I launched the business in I suppose officially in 2016. In 2015 I had a baby, so I had to kind of, I used that time quite constructively in hindsight. I was able to sort of take a bit of time out from my then job. I was on maternity leave, and I used that time to plan the retail launch of Homespun. And but the products went on the market into stores in 2016, initially health food stores. So, and then we went more wide with the product. We're in super values now in the health food aisles.
Yeah, that's where I found you. I was like, oh my gosh, quinoa, and also the fact that it had coconut oil. I was like, this is amazing, because I was like, this is an incredible product. I was like, I have to get it. So I've been a convert ever since. I'm like, I love. It's just, again, it's because especially in the winter you get sick of plain porridge. You're just like, oh, the same thing. Whereas it's like a lovely it's really enjoyable, but again, it's like really nutritious. So I'm really, really happy with it.
Thank you. One of the things I do actually sometimes, if I'm really stuck for time, is I'll just have like a spoonful or two, and it's sort of like, I guess it's the kind of equivalent of like maybe having like a cereal bar. I don't really eat those.
Yeah.
Just a little something. It's high in fiber and it's high in vitamin E, which is really good for healthy nails and teeth and bones and hair. It's a source of folic acid, iron, and potassium. I need food that fills me up, that tastes good, but that I can also feel good about having. Now, in saying all of that, we use nuts in our product. We use coconut oil. This is a product to be used sparingly because all of these things are high in fat, but they're good fats. I don't really count calories. I think I try and think of every teaspoon I'm eating, no matter what it is. Is this as nutritious as it can be for what this product is? That's when that's where my attitude, I guess.
Definitely. But I think when you have so much nutrition in a food as well, you don't need to eat as much of a quantity.
Yeah.
Because people say, oh, it's very expensive to eat like that. But I actually feel I invest my money into food that I feel is really high quality, but I'm not eating as much of food as, say, people who are buying very processed food. They'd have to eat way more of that food to get any bit of nutrition coming in.
I couldn't agree more. Flavor is really important. And I think flavor is one of those things that enables us to sustain the healthy habits. For example, I love buying, I make my own sometimes, but I love buying the Happy Pear pesto. And, I think it's €5. And some people might say, oh God, that's expensive. And I think once or twice I tried to buy other pestos that were more affordable or cost effective, and they just didn't taste the same. But
Yeah.
a bit of that pesto with a bit of courgette, made into little pasta swirls,
Yeah.
that with a little bit of tomato. I mean, it's so tasty and it's so good. It's all plant-based, and it's fantastic. If you've got the flavor, then the healthy habits are easier to sustain. So I'm a big believer
Yeah.
in having a great spice rack. you
Mm-hmm.
know I love things like feta cheese, goat's cheese, just a little bit crumbled over a salad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tastes fantastic. And the same thing with fruit, treating yourself to some nice fruit. And nowadays, you can buy fruit for so affordable. I don't tend to eat out a huge amount, mainly because I've got a kid, so
Yeah.
I'm home more, and I work from home as well. But yeah, I'm a bit like you. I sort of put my budget into nice food that tastes good, that I feel good about eating about, and that tastes right.
Mm.
And, but it's great to see so many more healthy eating spots pop up
Yeah.
around the country.
Yeah, big time. So yeah, I suppose because holistic food, like my local Super Value, is particularly good in Tralee. So it has,
Garvey.
Garvey's, yeah, it's really good. Like they stock really good products. But just I feel like holistic food is becoming more of the norm, as in like it's now kind of gaining popularity in Irish supermarkets. So I just love to see like the feedback that you get from, say, Super Value versus obviously, people going into health food shops are of that kind of mindset anyway if they're making off a health food shop, but going into, say, Super Value, what's the kind of feedback that you're getting?
It's been great. And actually, I mean, Super Value have been so supportive of Homespun. And, they would say themselves, I'm just giving them as an example, but they would
Mm.
say that they have a bias towards supporting producers with, I suppose, a product that's, a healthier product, a more nutritious product. They obviously have their campaign, Get
Mm-hmm.
Ireland Cooking. So they've been great. And I think if you go into the Food Academy sections of Super Values, you see all of these local products,
Mm.
whether pestos or hummuses, and even ready meals that are all plant-based and fantastic. Um, the feedback has been great.
Mm-hmm.
Our price point is a reflection of the fact that, we are making our products by hand at the moment in relatively small quantities. In
Yeah.
time, we hope to obviously improve the price point on the product. But I think Irish people have kind of an innate understanding that good food costs money.
Yeah.
And sometimes when food is very, very cheap, there's a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Things like the horse meat scandal.
Yeah.
I think Irish people, like when I meet people, I'm in doing tastings in stores, there's a real understanding. People look at the labels. That's the first thing people want to do nowadays. They want to
Mm-hmm.
see how much sugar is in this.
Yeah.
We use honey in our products. Let's be honest, honey is a sweetener.
Yeah.
And even honey should be consumed sparingly. But
Mm-hmm.
people would look at our labels and see, God, this would have half the amount of sugars of another standard commercial granola. People like that. They like the fact that it's gluten free. They like the
Mm-hmm.
fact that it's made in Ireland. I think Irish people and consumers want to support other Irish businesses. So
Yeah.
there's a reaction of that sense. And I think people see our products as being compatible with other things that they buy, that they buy, that they feel are healthy products, whether it's their oats or their chia seeds,
Mm-hmm.
um, their natural yogurt, their Greek yogurt. So it's been great. But I think you do it because I do it because I think I'm my own consumer. You're not
Mm-hmm.
going to for everybody, and some
Yeah.
people are on a budget, and that's completely understandable. But we're now in the health food aisles of Super Values nationwide, and we're in a lot of health food stores around the country, and we're interested in bringing more health stores on board. So if there's anyone who has a health shop listening,
Yeah.
talk to us.
Yeah.
Uh, we're in artisan food stores as well, so
Mm-hmm.
nice stores like Avoca, Donnybrook Fair, places like
Yeah.
that. But it's
And
it's, it's a process. It's a young business.
yeah, exactly.
Looking to more products as well.
Okay, brilliant, wonderful. I'll be keeping my eye out because I'm like, yay, there's more yummy foods to look forward to. And do you hope to get into like the UK market, or is that are you just kind of focusing on Ireland at the moment?
Well, funny, we supply one store in the UK. We supply the Harrods Food Hall. Harrods, obviously, beautiful, beautiful store in
Mm-hmm.
Knightsbridge. We supply their food hall. They typically would have had like a lot of luxury specialist products, but even Harrods is branching into providing, health foods and so forth. So we supply them, and we would like next year to be about making our range more available in the UK, and I think that'll happen in time. We've started supplying stores in the Middle East, in Dubai. There's a store, a chain called Spinneys. Really, really beautiful stores, very high end, beautiful produce, beautiful food, a lot of fresh food. And obviously, there's a lot of expats living in places like Dubai.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of Irish suppliers into Spinneys. So we just recently started supplying Spinneys, which is great.
Mm.
Um, and Board B are giving us a lot of support. There's a lot of support for, small food businesses, whether it's retailers like Super Value or Board B. Anyone listening who's interested in starting their own business, contact your local enterprise office. I mean, I feel like Homespun has received a lot of support from our local enterprise office. Really practical supports as well. And obviously down in Kerry, there's the local enterprise office there as well. So there's supports people can tap into from any part of the country.
That's wonderful. Yeah, it's lovely, because that's kind of the intention behind my show is, is really to kind of, I suppose, highlight, the work that you're doing and what other people are doing, like bringing really healthy things. Like I had even a lady that she makes organic baby grows, and she has a lovely company, and just want to highlight, I suppose, the things that people can do, because I think people can feel like, oh, that looks like you have to be this type of person, or you have to be that, but it's like, everyone starts off maybe in their kitchen or on their computer, and it's just being able to kind of provide that inspiration from real life people like yourself, and to say, this is actually completely available to you. If you kind of have a really good idea, you can pursue it, and there is supports there for you.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, everything starts somewhere. I mean, Steve Jobs, didn't he start in, his parents' spare room or garage or something like that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, things take time. You've got to be patient and trust the process. And, I do talk to, some other entrepreneurs about business ideas and people maybe who are starting. I mean, I'm only 18 months into this, but, people, you bounce around ideas. And, I think it's very important at the very outset. I mean, obviously do your research and, establish that there's a business model there, because at the end of the day, you need to make a living, and or anticipate that sooner or later you'll be able to make a living. But assuming you've got all those boxes ticked, I think it's really important to back yourself. I mean, if there was one thing that I remember, was when I was starting on this whole journey, I was having a bit of cold feet. I think it was actually when, a couple of pallets arrived at my door, with boxes, cartons that we were going to be putting all of our quinoa crunch into.
Yeah.
I saw this truck arrive with all these cartons, and I thought, oh my God, I hope this sells, I hope this works.
Yeah.
And, just that moment of panic. And my husband said, he said, back yourself. And I remember, that was just a really important moment. Those two words, back yourself. And, anytime I experience that, sense of, oh my goodness, what have I done, doing, or where's this going? I do remember those two little words, back yourself. I think you have to be your own cheerleader.
Yeah.
You have to trust the process. I mean, look, you've got to have a reasonable idea. You've got to work hard. There are all of the tangibles that go into it as well. But it's really, really important to back yourself, because, any project or venture, enterprise, what you're doing, what I'm doing, what anyone else is doing, it takes time, and there will be hurdles, and there will be mistakes, and things will go wrong, and you just have to back yourself and accept that that's all part of the process, and be your leader, because of course we'll have supportive people in our lives and that will help us along the way, but you won't necessarily have somebody to hold your hand at every step, or at every stage. So being reliant on you is really important, and being able to say, okay, this hasn't gone according to plan, but let's figure out what went wrong here. What can we fix? What can we do? What can we do better? What did we learn? And backing yourself. And I love that piece of advice. And I always tap into that state of mind of back yourself when I encounter issues or problems or challenges. And just that self-talk, I think, is really, really important. But look, there's no doubt you need to be prepared to work hard. You got to stay flexible. You got to adapt. Getting help. I mean, for all that you have to be self-reliant, you also have to get help. I mean, one really nice thing that's happened along the way for me is I've found my own tribe of others who are the same stage as me or maybe further along, but
Mm-hmm.
they've got their own food businesses. Some of them are in the healthy food space, and we run ideas past each other, we help each other. And I think that element of having your tribe, finding your own
Mm-hmm.
tribe, is really important. Tap into the supports we've talked about, ask for help, share your ideas, get feedback, find a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
All those things are super important. And I suppose one of the things I've realized is you've got to look after your health.
Mm.
The last
Yeah.
year, I suppose the irony is that I set up a health food business and I became a little bit run down. I was working
Yeah.
all
Mm-hmm.
there's the juggle and the struggle of getting something off the ground. You can end up, um, I suppose, just cutting corners, eating food on the go. That's not great for you. Skipping that gym session to rush back to the office
Mm-hmm.
to answer some emails. So I've got a lot more mindful of that. And I
Mm-hmm.
realized that, looking after yourself and your health is really important when it comes to, good decision making, uh,
Mm.
getting things right, and all of the important things that go into a business, or your relationships with your suppliers and your consumers, your customers, the people around you, your partners. If you don't look after your health, it's hard to think straight. And for
Mm.
me, I suppose I've come full circle now, because I got into this because I passionately believed about, the importance of good real food and how that enables you to perform better. And then I
Yeah.
kind of lost sight of it momentarily in the craziness of the last year, because things
Mm-hmm.
were crazy. There was all this demand for our products. I was working really hard. And yeah, I noticed the kind of, jeans getting a little tighter, the skin becoming a bit duller, and, getting a bit foggy in terms of my thought processes. And
Mm-hmm.
I realized, wait a second, I need to carve out time. So what I do
Mm.
is, I don't schedule anything for lunchtime. I'll make sure that at lunchtime I get a bit of fresh air. I
Yeah.
live in Dublin. I live near the pier. I'll go for a run. I'll go for a walk. I'll go for a spin class. And I take that time and I say to myself, look, if I was in an office job, I would be taking that time. So why don't I take it now? Uh,
Mm.
and also seeing the time that you take to, whether it's make your own juice or make your own soup, or seeing that as not time that's taken from you, but that's kind of a bit of a gift to yourself, as
Mm-hmm.
cheesy as that sounds, saying
Yeah.
it's actually an investment. This is
Mm-hmm.
as important as sending that email,
Yeah.
because it's actually it's one of those things that I've noticed, that the time that you take, that's when some of your good ideas come to you. When you press pause
Mm-hmm.
and say, do you know what? I'm just going to take some time out. I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to put the phone away. That's when the solutions come. That's when,
Mm-hmm.
things free up mentally, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
I feel like I've done a
Absolutely.
lot of talking, Aisling.
Sorry?
I feel like I've done an awful lot of talking.
Oh no, I think actually you've actually answered all the questions that I had. Because I was like, the question was, what advice would you give to people following their dreams? I think you've totally answered that. So
I think back
that
was
is brilliant. Yeah, it is the whole, I think I'm going to put that in bold underneath our interview for other people to draw from. Because I think it is like, you can start off like what you say with an intention, and actually your experience has really echoed my experience as well. Like I'm starting off as a holistic nutrition coach, and all these things, and then I did get like lost from my own self, because it was like you're trying to establish something which is just so all encompassing. But again, where I am now this year, again, I'm like, okay, yeah, it is that kind of mindset of there's no point working all those hours when I need to be, well, I'm here to teach a certain way of living, so I have to embody that myself, not just for like the fact that I'm working in this area, but also for the fact that it has to be sustainable.
yeah.
It has to be like you're in it for the long game. It's not like, a burst of a year. It's like, I want to do this, I want to evolve this over the course of my lifetime. So it has to be that you can make it sustainable.
Wow. I mean, I absolutely love what you're saying. I completely agree. And that's another little mantra I have actually recently adopted as well, as, think long term. And I think, when you're thinking long term, you're making the right decisions, you're weighing things up, and you're not, subject to as much panic and kind of
Yeah.
knee jerk reactions. I think social media can be a really positive thing, but I think it can also be something that maybe has potential to undermine us when we compare ourselves to others.
Mm-hmm.
And I fall foul of that myself. Sometimes I can be on social media and maybe I'm looking at someone else who's maybe in a similar it's similar business to me, and I'm saying, wow, look at that, they seem to be doing really well, and maybe people are looking at us on social media and saying, wow,
Mm-hmm.
oh God, these guys have just gone into Dubai, they must be doing so well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Paris is just a disaster. First of all, nobody puts the bad news on social media.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's the first thing about social media.
Yeah.
For every good thing someone puts up, that they could also be saying, I'm exhausted, I'm stressed out, I'm tired, I'm whatever. So I think social media is just something you just have to be really, really mindful of consuming.
Mm.
And then, once you start thinking long term, I think pace changes. When you think long
Mm-hmm.
term, you give yourself the time to do things. When you're thinking short term, you're rushing. And when we rush, we make mistakes.
Yeah.
And so pace and patience, I'm saying this like I'm preaching. I'm actually almost saying it to myself to remind myself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll be listening back to this, going remind the self to keep at this.
I think we need to get together offline.
Yeah, exactly, definitely.
So I don't know if I mentioned it that my mum is from Kerry. She's from Ardfert. Her
Oh
family.
yeah, only out the road from me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, and like I say, we spent a lot of time in Ballinskelligs, which is obviously Southwest Kerry, growing
Mm-hmm.
up. So I love getting back there, and I think for me, I used to go down there for a long stints. Now, because of the baby and because of the business, I go more frequently for shorter stints. It's a long
Mm-hmm.
journey, but it's worth it because I love the time out. I love clearing my head, and it is a great place to do it. So I envy you being able to, hit the beach in Bana and go for a nice walk. I try and do the same thing here. It's not exactly the same,
Yeah.
but look, there's so much going on in the world. I think we need to
Mm-hmm.
switch off a little bit in
Yeah.
order to, perform better. And I personally think all of this stuff should be taught in schools,
Absolutely.
but
Yeah.
it's not.
But it's not. Yeah. Hopefully, in time, it will
Yeah.
start to filter through. Yeah, because actually, my mom is a secondary school teacher, so she's kind of bringing her influence in her way in her school. That's in
Oh, that's
Tralee, in Mount Talk. Yeah.
great. Oh, okay, that's my cousin went to that school.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, because she's all into like the emotional well-being and and how do you feel in your body and all this kind of stuff that I suppose we're learning now, that it's like it's fundamental to your success in whatever you're going to do with
Completely.
business or academia or any of these things.
Completely. And I mean, I have a little girl, she's 2.5 now. And, before I had her, I kind of always thought, oh, I'm going to be teaching her, different languages, and I'm going to be showing her flashcards, and
Yeah.
going to be so smart. And,
Yeah.
and this education piece was so
Mm.
important. And now that I have her, I sort of realized the most important thing is, well, first of all, I think I see in her a capacity to be happy. She smiles a lot, she takes pleasure in things, she laughs a lot. And that makes me really, really happy and content and less concerned about her. I think that capacity to be content, the capacity to enjoy the simple pleasures, that's so much more important than, learning a language. I mean, I think we all have it in us to learn skills and,
Mm-hmm.
read books. I mean, they're activities, but I think your attitude or your state of mind,
Mm-hmm.
nurturing that is so much more important. And nurturing resilience in ourselves and in our children, you
Mm-hmm.
know, when she falls down, I'm just like, okay, you're fine, hop back up, everything's okay,
Mm-hmm.
dust yourself off. And that resilience piece is huge.
Yeah.
And I'm, not showing her flashcards with trying to teach her Chinese like I thought I would.
Exactly. But
She'll
that,
get
yeah,
there, and if she wants to do it, she can do it herself.
exactly. But you're coming from a place of, from a really good space and not needing to have that to be happy.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
happy. And then those things are add-ons.
Yeah, exactly. And look, back to the whole point about social media, I think it's that kind of, raising kids like that is so much more important given the world we're sending them out to. I mean, the world is, a tough place in many ways. And,
Mm.
raising kids with, who, are nourishing themselves, it's just important. It's so important.
Yeah. Fundamental. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So I think you've shared a huge amount in terms of like I suppose your philosophy, really, your ethos of how you live and where you're coming from. But what
How
would
I
you
try
be? Sorry?
how I try to live.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. But all of us are like, we're all on a journey with it. It's like nobody's perfect. And I think people think, as you say, you look out, like I did when I was starting off, I would follow different people on social media, a lot of people actually based in America, and you know, they're really far ahead in their businesses and what they're doing. And I'd be like, oh, they must be perfect. I'm like, you know, will I ever be that person, or will I ever get there? But it's like, I'm sure they're all in their journeys as well. They're just, everyone's at different stages. But I think it's just being able to, I suppose, learn how we can best take care of ourselves and nurture ourselves, and realize that we're all at different stages. But it's like, we're not in competition with each other. It's like, we're actually, if we can kind of just collaborate and, you know, support each other in different ways, it's like, it helps us to then be okay with the stage that we're at.
Completely.
You know, I don't have to be that way. I don't have to be so far ahead, or I'm just where I am, and I just, you know, trust that process of where the journey's taking me.
Completely. And you know, the most amazing thing about all of this is that everything that you need in order to mind yourself, it's all free. It's all free. You know, eat real food. I mean, fruit, vegetables, you know, all of that stuff in our supermarkets in a country like Ireland. You know, none of it's expensive. You know, fresh air is free. You know, sleep is free. You know, drinking water is free. You know, having a cuppa with a friend, you know, it's pretty much free. You know, getting rest, you know, taking inspiration from books and music, that's all free, you know. And we should never forget that, you know, looking after yourself doesn't come at a price. I'm really skeptical about, you know, magical supplements or detox programs or, you know, dieting books. All of that is just, to me, it's just a racket. The most important things are all free.
So, totally. And that's really the philosophy that I take as well, because it's like, as when you train in nutrition, you get like totally taken over by all the different, you know, this diet and that diet and everything. But yeah, it's just bringing it back to, I think, simplicity. That's where we need to, you know, draw it back to, because it makes things so much nicer.
Completely.
So Erica, thank you so much for joining us today, and I'm really, really excited for people to hear this interview. I think it's going to inspire so many people, and I'm also going to be listening back to it when I'm like, oh, I'm rushing ahead, I need to listen back to that message again.
I should probably listen back to it myself, Aisling.
Yeah, exactly. We all need to reinforce it. Yeah, exactly.
Such a pleasure to talk to you, and I actually plan to sign up to the newsletter and listen into more of your interviews and be inspired by other people. I absolutely love that. That's one of the things I love to do, is to listen to podcasts and things like that. So I'm so excited that we got connected, and thank you so much for taking the time to connect. And you know, I'd love to stay in touch and meet you offline at some point in the future.
Absolutely, definitely. Wonderful. Fertilizer for the soul.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thank you.